So why doesn't it work? Why can't those in charge make it work? The first and obvious reason why subordinates cannot make it work is that most of the efficiencies that could be gained are efficiencies that depend on others for their actualization. For integration to work, two or more parties must integrate something, and therefore change or exchange something. The realization of these efficiencies is dependent upon people expressing their needs in light of what the technology can do. It is then dependent on the willingness of people in other departments, or at other hierarchy levels, to modify the way they work, and to share information, to lose a little today, to gain more tomorrow. The same reasoning applies to automation. For a software functionality to be used, you need managers to convene and to research and evaluate the gain that could be achieved through the functionality. It is hard to ask people to lose a little today so that others will gain more tomorrow. Asking people to work or modify the way they work for benefits that would be gained in another department is a hard thing to do, especially when those benefits do not appear to be mission critical, as is often the case with CRM. It is hard for a sales manager to ask his peer in customer service to adopt a new system just so that salespeople can faster access the information logged by customer service agents. The customer service supervisor will likely answer, "If you need information, just ask or log into our system and find the information yourself." Sales managers know that being able to access information in a snap from a single contact record in a single database is a true benefit. Customer service agents do not. For their part, they do not care much about the information logged by salespeople. Why would anybody sacrifice anything for a project that has already lost its leadership and momentum? A second and frequent reason why people cannot make it work is that many of the parties involved do not have to. They did not participate in the initial phase of the deployment, and by the time they could be joining, the project has already lost its direction and momentum. With a small-scale implementation and a limited set of functionalities, very little gets accomplished in terms of integration. This can happen when the project starts with a single department only. Again, it is hard to anticipate all the consequences of an implementation, and it may be intimidating and risky to re-engineer multiple departments at once, so it makes sense to start small. But ideally, the system should be first installed in an independent division or location of the firm. Instead, unfortunately, for most mid-size organizations this is not an option. They do not have divisions, or their managers need to remain in control. They need things to happen locally, in their main office, and with their staff. So instead of starting with the entire system in an independent location, they start in one department only, and with a limited set of functionalities. They may initially limit the number of licenses that they purchase to the number of employees working in this department. Since the other departments are not yet involved, they adopt a wait-and-see attitude. As far as they are concerned, they are not concerned. Since the implementation generally starts with sales, a department that many regard as unruly or privileged and in need of tighter monitoring, many end up viewing the system as a sales tool only. In this context, with only one department on board, and with customer service, tech support, marketing, product managers, and the rest of the company left out, very little gets accomplished in terms of integration. All that may be achieved is the automation of a few key processes, like quotations or order entry, and a tighter control over the sales team. If salespeople collaborate, that is, the new system overlaps and conflicts with pre-existing tools. The old tools remain in use. Customer centricity cannot be achieved. There are not that many things which are new in CRM process automation. This also thwarts the implementation. For the most part, CRM systems consolidate processes that could be handled by other tools, accounting systems, dedicated applications, back-end, or legacy systems, intranet, etc. The value created by CRM is not so much in the automation of these processes as it is in their integration into a coherent whole, in which data can be reused and in which it is better organized around the customer. What is new about CRM is that it treats these processes as what they truly are, customer-serving processes. Integrated back-end systems tend to treat them as internal processes. In good CRM systems, there is never more than 1 or 2 degrees of separation, or clicks between a customer record and any other record that relates to this customer. When the CRM project starts, many of these front-office processes are already tied to other applications, quotations, order fulfillment, email, calendar, campaigns, bud tracking, project management. Because it is hard to anticipate all the implications that CRM entails, and because the project does not yet involve all its potential users, many of these tools still remain in use after the CRM installation. This is the third reason why it is hard to federate people around the CRM project and to make it work. Users fervently fight to protect their tools, and nobody stands for the CRM. Some CRM functionalities are redundant, and thus appear optional or unnecessary to many users. Since the benefits of automation are more obvious than the benefits of integration, they do not understand why they should switch tool. Again, they are accountable for the results that they achieve and generally not for the means that they employ, so they may feel entitled to the privilege to pick their tools. As human beings, or as any economic player for that matter, they fear uncertainty and resist change. They have invested time equity in their applications. They like to use the best tools available in their trade. The tools that they master may boost their professional egos and feature prominently in their resumes. They may also have upgrades in mind which may already have been approved by their managers. CRM is a turn-off for them. There are no bells and whistles in most CRM functionalities because things need to remain manageable in large applications, so people invariably find the CRM functionalities to be too basic. Nothing worth sacrificing anyway. Their argument against CRM is strong. Why fix it if it isn't broken? If the CRM functionalities at stake prove too rudimentary, too different, or too buggy, the argument usually holds sway. They do not need to know the CRM to make their point, and they rarely do. The processes embodied in the pre-existing tools can conflict with those embodied in the CRM. Even when there are legitimate reasons why a seemingly redundant application should remain in use, problems can arise from the processes embodied in this application. Those processes may not only overlap with those of the CRM system, they could also conflict with them. If those problems are not anticipated, discussed, and solved before the implementation, they can become insurmountable and further contribute to the marginalization of the CRM system. Here is an example. Email messages sent to and received from contacts via CRM system can automatically be attached to the records of these contacts. Optionally, they can also be manually attached to other relevant records, quotes, opportunities, incidents, etc. As they are attached to records, email messages become accessible to all, or to all who are authorized to access these records. This is a huge benefit. Messages are no longer kept hidden and inaccessible in individual email clients and personal computers. This is also a risk, however. As people still use email clients, like Outlook, alongside the CRM system, they may not be aware of the fact that their email messages might now be read by people other than their intended recipient. Here, the email process is embodied in the CRM system, and that embodied in personal email clients, like Outlook, conflict with each other. If a CEO were to discover this difference by accident, he would invariably regard it as a flaw, and he would overlook the benefits brought by email integration. Asked for advice, information technology employees would prudently recommend that the CRM not be used for email. Thus, they would unknowingly deprive the CRM system of a big portion of its usefulness, as if someone decided that faxes and letters could not be stored in the customer's manila folders in a company's file cabinets because those cabinets can be opened by people other than the recipients of the document. If the CEO and his team had been forewarned, they might have agreed to use a different set of IMAP email addresses or accounts for the CRM system. When a company decides to use a CRM, it should first design an email procedure to ensure, among other things, that personal, confidential, or internal email messages are sent and received via personal email addresses or accounts that would exist in Outlook or smartphones, but not in the CRM system. The CRM email client would only be used for non-confidential business-related correspondence. If handling multiple email accounts depending on the content of email messages was too much to ask or was still regarded as risky, the company could instead disable the automatic attachment of email to contacts in the CRM system. This would require that email messages be manually attached to records based on their value and content, but this would preserve email confidentiality. In any case, the inconvenience that any of these solutions would have created would be very minor in comparison to the benefits it would have preserved. The situation did not justify that the baby be thrown with the bathwater. This leads us to our next point. The CRM is finally abandoned to the IT department. When the implementation stalls with procedures, employee support, utilization, and management oversight lacking, the responsibility of the CRM system generally falls onto the IT department. This also impacts the success of the CRM project. Installing and securing a CRM system is a relatively simple process. With a little bit of experience, this can be done in half a day. The complexity and toil is elsewhere, in the system selection, data migration, process definition, trading, etc. IT personnel sometimes participate in the installation of the system, but they do not always participate in the other phases of the implementation which are non-technical in nature. Many software initiatives start in the IT department, but this one generally does not. As a consequence, IT personnel are usually unaware of the what, why, and how of the system, and of its many intertwined functionalities. Since little or no procedures were written, it is hard for them to figure out what is important and what is not. All this can make them feel ambivalent or indifferent towards the application. They empathize with the employees for whom the system is a turn-off. They will not question their assumptions, and will not consider the pros and cons of CRM because nobody is there to explain where and how the system creates efficiencies. They will more eagerly spend time trying to integrate the CRM with the tools that these employees like rather than try to understand how the system works and how to tweak it to accommodate their needs. Emboldened by dwindling management interest and now in charge, they may take action and jeopardize the little of the system that is actually in use for the sake of the people who do not want to use the system. The above example shows how this could happen. If they do, functionalities that worked will inevitably cease to work. More efficiencies will unavoidably disappear. Salespeople will slowly abandon the system and return to their old tools. They will only use the system as an opportunity log and as a quote writer if this task has not yet been reassigned to a single employee. Now the question is, how could this happen? Why couldn't anybody see this happening and intervene? What did the software implementer do, or not do? Is something wrong with the application? In a business in which CRM works, the removal of the CRM functionalities listed earlier in this document would feel like death by 1,000 cuts. How is it that here it is the CRM system that died by 1,000 cuts? This is what we will talk about in our next presentation. Thank you.